right, it's time for another episode of Keeping It Real Estate, where we take a look at the real issues facing commercial and residential real estate today. We're with your real estate expert, the real expert on this, Rosanne Nitti. Hey, Rosanne.
Hey, Paul. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Welcome. Who'd you bring with you today?
Well, today is my second show, and I'm thrilled to have my friend and colleague, Kaaren Hall, with me. Whenever I look
think of it like Kaaren with an attitude.
Kaaren,
you know?
yeah. And we're going to, she is with You Direct IRA Services.
Yes.
And we're going to have a conversation regarding IRAs. But first, I just wanted to have Kaaren tell our listeners a little bit about herself. You're a single mom.
Oh, yeah. And they're about to graduate from college. Isn't that exciting?
Oh, it's thrilling.
Guy, any day now. So
some extra money for trips.
What'll that be like? And so, my son wants to invest in real estate, and my daughter's a math major, and she wants to travel the world. So we'll see what happens. But cool. Real estate's so really crucial to my whole life, like it is to yours. But I was in radio for 17 years, and then I made the logical transition into real estate and became a realtor for a year and drove people around in my car and said, then I got engaged and got married, became the trailing spouse. So I did mortgage loan servicing for a number of years, like 8 years, and then got into mortgage loan origination. For the whole thing was probably
Crazy
16
industry
years.
Too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just like pre-crash is when I got out and got into the self-directed IRA industry in 2007.
Very cool.
So it's been a couple of years.
Very nice. I have a self-directed IRA, and I own property in my self-directed IRA.
Fabulous.
So I know a little bit about them. And let's tell people, what is a self-directed IRA, and how do I open one?
Right. Well, there can be a lot of misconceptions about what a self-directed IRA is. People think that they don't understand. So an IRA is an IRA. It's like a bucket. And so the rules for regular IRAs are the same as self-directed IRAs. There's no different rule. The only difference between a typical IRA, like you may have at Charles Schwab or TD Ameritrade or Northwestern Mutual, someplace like that, and a self-directed IRA is the kind of asset you could put into that bucket, right?
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
stocks, bonds, and mutual funds over here. You might want to put a house over here, or a note, or precious metals, or private stock, a lot of different things.
Something different.
Alternative assets. Yeah.
And how would one open a self-directed IRA?
Carefully.
Okay.
No, you just go on our website, and it says open an account, and you click and go, and we've got a form, and it's form fillable. You type it in, and
very easily.
Ship it over to us. Yeah,
really,
we make it really easy.
user friendly.
We do, but like we were talking about it, before the show, there are rules that you want to know about. So I know you want to talk about that later on. So
yeah, we'll get more specific. So tell me, are self-directed IRAs for everyone?
No, they're not for everyone because it is self-directed. I mean, the word self comes first, and so you're going to be doing a lot more yourself than you would when you've got a financial advisor really doing a lot of hand-holding for you and doing a lot of the work, because with a self-directed IRA, we're not telling you what investment to invest in.
To do. It's your choice.
Right.
You make the choices. And my misconception originally, too, I asked you earlier, was, is it just for self-employed people?
Right. Everyone has misconceptions.
Something I had thought, that's a weird one.
Well,
right.
It could be. You could be self-employed and have a self-directed IRA, or you could just be not self-employed. Be employed elsewhere and have it be a W-2 person. But you have to have active income to contribute to an IRA. That's the
It's your money, and you decide what to do with it.
That's
hey,
right.
Show me the money.
Let
me tell you what to do with my money.
Well, and you decide, hey, I'm going to invest in the stock market. Hey, I'm going to invest outside the stock market. Well, we're the outside the stock market people.
And that's cool. So speaking of that now, what kind of assets can a self-directed IRA hold?
Oh, so many.
It's interesting. When I first met you and I was learning, there's all these different things. So,
well, when they created IRAs in 1974 and the ERISA Act went into effect in 75, they didn't say what your IRA can invest in, just what it can't invest in. And it's a short list.
Gotcha.
It's life insurance contracts and collectibles. All right, so according to the IRS, everything else is okay. Now, I have to say that your IRA can't be a shareholder in an S corporation, but only because S corporations don't let you do that. You have to be a human being to be a shareholder of an S corp. Okay, that's how it works. But everything else is fair game. Now, that's what the IRS says. And then it comes down to the custodial level. What is administratively feasible? What is a custodian willing to custody? For example, some self-directed IRA companies will let you invest in racehorses.
Very cool.
I know.
I
Wouldn't that
want
be
a
cool?
horse.
I want a
Yeah,
horse too.
absolutely.
But you can't have any personal use, so it's just an investment, right? But that's an asset we don't custody. It's not administratively feasible for us to custody. I mean, they're kind of messy, and when you have them in the office, they're kind of smelly, so hard to custody a horse.
Gotcha. Right,
No,
right.
I'm being facetious, but yeah. So the custodian gets to decide, make a business decision for their business, what assets they will and won't custody. So the IRS gives us one bar, and the custodian gives us another bar of what they will and won't custody.
Very cool. And then one of my questions was, can I have this self-directed IRA with someone else?
Yes.
Or is it just like if my sister or my friend or a cousin or something? Can we
like co-invest?
Co-invest together?
Yeah, you can. And it's interesting. So I think we should talk about the rules just a little bit here, because some people are disallowed to your IRA.
Okay.
Your sister is awesome.
Okay.
But your lineal ascendants and descendants up and down the family tree, they're disallowed to your IRA. Plus, anybody offering services to the plan or a fiduciary, somebody's giving you, like maybe a realtor could be a fiduciary, right?
Okay.
So they're disallowed. So your IRA, and so those people are disallowed. Your IRA doesn't invest in assets they own, but your IRA and their IRA or their cash can invest concurrently, even a disallowed person. It's an exception to that disallowed person rule. As long as you invest concurrently,
I like that.
you can do that.
I like that. And those are interesting, and I think that's why people need to talk to you.
Yeah,
so they
there's
know what to do.
Ins and outs. And that's what we do. People call us and we say, well, tell us about, we want to get, what's your name? How'd you hear about us? But we want to know, tell us about your investment. What do you want to do? Because that's what we want to hear about. Tell us about the investment. We want to hear if it sounds like a prohibited transaction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about, the rules that we should know about. What are the specific rules that we should know about?
Well, they're called prohibited transactions.
Okay.
And if you are a rule book kind of girl, you want to look them up, it's in the Internal Revenue Code IRC 4975. That's where you can go look. But the short version.
I've seen that. I've looked it up.
Have you really?
I've
you're
looked
good.
through it a little bit.
You're
But I
exceptional.
think it's better for me and maybe some people out there to talk to an expert like you to
Right.
get the pros and cons
and boil it
the
down.
direction.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, because where I talked about disallowed people, you're not allowed to offer any services to the plan. So say your IRA buys a house and the house needs a new, whatever garbage disposal. You can't go in and install that garbage disposal yourself. The IRS calls us, you'll love it, an overcontribution of sweat equity.
Oh,
right?
wow.
I know.
Interesting.
They tax you when you die,
So it's not a do-it-yourself
estate tax. They tax you when you
situation,
sweat.
right.
Yeah. So everything is arm's length, but you're a realtor, you get arm's length. You
Right,
understand
absolutely, right. And so when people are buying a home within their IRA, that IRA pays all of the bills, all the
Yes.
insurances,
It
all of the
must.
repairs,
Yeah.
and everything that goes with it.
Yeah. And for example, we've had people, maybe like one woman got a home equity line of credit on her personal house to put a new roof on her IRA owned house. Oops. Prohibited transaction because you're commingling funds and so forth. And so let's talk real quick about prohibited transactions and to say that if you commit one, what happens? I mean,
what will they do?
Yeah,
They're going to come get you?
I know. They just run to your house and
IRS
grab
police.
you. Yeah, no, not yet. But what they do is, it's nothing like that. It's just that your IRA is disallowed. So all of a sudden you don't have an IRA. It's not considered an IRA anymore.
okay.
It's considered your personal money, like you earned it. Now you owe tax on it.
Gotcha.
Maybe penalties.
A lot of taxes.
So
and
don't commit a
penalties.
prohibited transaction. It's
I
very
get it.
bad.
Oh, really interesting. So what are some of the common mistakes that you see people make? Things like
Yeah.
that?
Taking constructive use of your IRA or the IRA-owned assets is a big mistake. So, like, for example, your IRA has a rental property and you have renters and they're paying your IRA the rent every month. But instead of letting that rent money go to your IRA like it should, you take that rent money and you just put it in your pocket.
Or go on a vacation or
Yeah, and you
something.
spend it to buy a
So-
new car or something like that, or whatever you're going to do. You do that, and then you've taken constructive use of your IRA funds. Boom, you just blew it. And that's not an IRA anymore. It gets dispersed to you. You get 1099. It's a taxable event.
So speaking of that, if I were to use your services for my IRA, do you manage the property? Not really. I would have to hire a property manager because as a
Right.
realtor, I wouldn't be able to manage my own property.
Exactly.
I could hire a property manager and
Yes.
then they would collect all of the rents and then deliver that to you
Yes.
into your, like a third-party accommodator.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. So there are some things you can do, like if you own a property, right? So you can screen the tenants, you can pick up and collect the rent checks made payable to the IRA, you can hire third-party vendors to do the work, and that's kind of it. That's what you do as a property manager anyway. The only thing you're not going to do property management-wise is do the work yourself. You hire everything
Okay.
out. So
So I could manage my own property within my IRA.
to that extent, exactly correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if there's something coming that has to be paid out, it gets paid directly out of the IRA.
Yes, yeah.
And so homeowners insurance, taxes,
Yes.
all of that stuff. I don't
Yes.
think people realize how many items actually would come out of that.
Yeah, and people say to me, well, what kind of reserve do I have to have? My IRA
And that
is-
was going to be my next question.
really?
So
Okay.
what would the bumper
Yeah.
be? What would the buffer be on a reserve?
Well, and we know that coming from the real estate mortgage world, there's like a 6-month cushion, or the lender will require these cushions. We don't, it's self-directed. So you
Gotcha.
decide for yourself how much of a cushion you need. We don't have those rules. It's self-directed. You're the investment advisor. You're making those decisions yourself. So when we tell you what you can and can't do, it's within regard to it's administratively feasible, if it's whether or not it's a prohibited transaction, but how much of a cushion you should have is entirely up to you.
Gotcha. And then if the house needs a new roof and I don't have the money for that,
Yes.
I have to add that into my IRA, and there's only a specific dollar amount that I can add in annually?
Yeah, that's true. So a couple things. There are 6 things you can do if you run out of money.
Okay.
So you can make a contribution. You're right. So contribution is based upon your age and your income and your account type, and you want to
Okay.
talk to your tax advisor.
Okay.
So you're right. You can write a check and make a contribution. That's one thing. If your self-directed IRA had other assets, you could sell those assets and use them to pay the shortfall. So you could
Okay.
do that. If you had an IRA across the street, you could liquidate some of those stocks, bonds, and mutual funds and bring them over, transfer them. Takes a couple weeks for the transfer to come in, but you can do that. Liquidate that and bring it in. You could take on a debt partner. You could borrow money. You could take on a non-recourse loan.
Oh, okay.
And if all that fails, you could just sell the asset if your IRA can't afford to keep it. That happens sometimes.
Well, let's hope not.
Yeah, you want to
Yeah.
plan ahead. Yeah, plan
So,
ahead.
one last question. Approximately, before we take a commercial break, approximately how much money do people really start up their self-directed IRAs with? I guess it would depend on the asset.
Well, it depends upon really the person and how much
Okay.
they've saved for retirement, because they're going to move a retirement account usually over into a self-directed IRA.
Okay.
So our average account size is $135,000.
Okay.
But we don't have an account minimum. Just ask you to leave $325 in the account. But when you open a self-directed IRA, it's again self-directed. You could open with a $5,500 contribution, or maybe you used to work at Boeing and you've got $500,000 that from your old 401k you're going to roll over.
Gotcha.
So
So you can start
Yes.
with as little as $325
Yes, yes.
and start contributing and
Yes.
saving.
Correct.
And then we can get in after the break into some of the other things besides property that we
Yes.
can do with our self-directed
Love it.
IRA. All right. Well, thanks so much. We'll be back in a minute.
Everyone knows that moving is one of the most stressful times in a person's life. And the worst part? Searching for cardboard boxes. It's absolutely prehistoric. Digging through dumpsters, going from store to store, buying stacks of them you're only going to throw away later. Well, now there's an answer. Bunglebox. Bungleboxes are durable, stackable, eco-friendly, plastic moving containers that will cut the cost of your packing supplies in half. And they're made of hard plastic, which gives you much more protection for your precious belongings. Much better than cardboard. Bungleboxes hold over 100 pounds per box, plus our boxes never, ever need tape. That's right, no tape. But since our Bungleboxes come with fitted dollies, your movers will move at the speed of light. So whether you, your friends, or your office are moving, there's really only one solution, Bunglebox. Find out more at bungleboxoc.com. That's bungleboxoc.com. Or call 714-725-7292. You order them, we deliver them. You move, we pick them up. That's bungleboxoc.com. All right, we're back with our real experts here. Can I ask you a real life question? This is out of my own real life here.
Let's hear
Please
it.
do. Please
So
do.
if these things are so incredible and you can do all these investments and easy to set and run and everything, why don't we all do it? I don't have a self-directed IRA. Why do so few of us do this?
Well, I think one reason is because, there's a lot of lack of knowledge. People don't know you can. It's kind of like the best
Afraid.
kept secret.
They don't know what to do.
Yeah, maybe they're afraid to, or maybe
Yeah.
somebody, because when you're investing outside the stock market, you have to invest in an asset class that you understand.
Right.
So that means that you understand real
People
estate.
get confused.
They do.
Yeah.
That you understand how to invest in notes. You understand how to invest in precious metals. So basically, once you understand how to invest in the alternative assets, the jump to self-directed IRAs is just very logical.
It is like a light bulb going off. When I first had had moved back to California, I had a IRA with the corporation that I owned and I left behind. And then I had this little chunk and thought, what am I going to do with this? And I met some people that did land banking and moved that self-directed, opened up a self-directed and bought a piece of property with it. And I still own it today. And, luckily, the taxes aren't too much, so
That's awesome, yeah.
Little by little. But that's how I learned about it, and I thought it was a great thing because personally, with the volatility of the stock market right now, if you notice where it is, I mean, some
it's
people will
always
say
bouncing.
it's a buy opportunity, but when we look at the prices of homes and real estate here in Orange County or across the nation, I think real estate's just such a great investment. Now, I just have a quick question in regards to that. Did we answer, Paul? Paul, did we answer your question?
Well, the other half of it is, where the heck do I go do this thing? I can't just go get a little Google it, go on YouTube probably, and figure. Maybe I can. I don't know.
Well, you go to udirectira.com. That's where you start.
So not YouTube, but
Awesome.
UDirect. There you go.
Udirect. The letter U, udirectira.com.
So one of my questions is, so I buy a house or an apartment complex or whatever it is with my self-directed IRA, and I'm plugging along, and now the appreciation on this property has doubled. How does the IRS see that inside the IRA?
Great question. Right. So when you've got a regular IRA, the IRS knows what it's worth because it's a stock, and you can pick up your cell phone and you know what it's worth.
Right.
But when it's a self-directed IRA, we don't know. So every year we ask you for a valuation. Tell us what it's worth, and so you give us the valuation of it, and we report that to the IRS. So if you're
reasonable valuation.
Yes. I mean,
Not what you think your home's worth.
Oh,
but
correct.
What it really
An
is
actual, like a BPO,
fair market
broker's
valuation.
opinion of value or something like that. If it's a house, sure.
Right.
But if you're going to have a taxable event, like you're going to do a Roth conversion, or maybe you've got to take your 70 and a half, you have to take out required minimum distributions, or you want to take a withdrawal and you need to withdraw it, then you have to get an actual appraisal to appraise the value and get a real third-party valuator's official opinion. For the value.
Now, is that appraiser someone that I could hire myself, or someone that has to go through?
No, they don't. No, it's not like
I can just hire someone and say, I need
appraise
an
my
appraisal
property
for this.
because I need to get the value for my IRA. Yes, you can absolutely do that.
In fact, I just did that in December for my property that I have an IRA, just to take a look at and see what's going on out there.
And so your IRA can grow in value. It's unlimited how much it can grow. Contributions, how much you can put in, is limited, but the growth is not limited or capped at all.
So then that leads into my next question: is can I borrow money with my IRA?
Wow, that is like one of the best questions because everyone misunderstands, especially in real estate. My background is mortgage, in real estate. Too.
Lending money, money.
When I found out, they'll lend my IRA money. It's not a loan to me; it's a loan to my IRA. Yes,
that's cool.
Yeah,
tell me more.
Your IRA, like you and I would go get a loan. We buy a house. We get a conventional conforming FHA, VA, Fannie, Freddie, whatever kind of loan. But an IRA borrows a non-recourse loan, money from a non-recourse lender. Now, non-recourse has a couple of definitions, but in this case, what it means is it's a loan made to the IRA. If the IRA defaults, they can only come against the subject property, not against you as a person.
Okay.
And not against any assets that the IRA owns.
And are they using that? Are they going to do an appraisal on that property and look at the value of it?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Right.
And what's the loan to value on something like that usually?
Right. So it could be, it's a lot higher than you might expect. Your IRA needs to have a lot of skin in the game for a typical non-recourse loan, like maybe 40, 50, 60% skin in the game.
And that makes sense.
And then more. And so the rates are about the same as regular lending because the risk, it's all about the risk.
Right.
But what they really are looking at, the underwriters are looking at, what is the cash flow of this property, bottom line. Do we want to make this loan? Well, let's look at the cash flow. That's pretty much how they're going to determine it.
Very cool. So I could borrow the money for the new roof if I needed it, or I could borrow the money to buy another property because it is within my IRA.
You could do a cash out refinance on an IRA owned property with a non-recourse loan, but here comes the big, however, that is it's taxable.
The glitch.
The glitch.
Oh, the glitch. Okay.
So the income you earned from borrowed money is taxable. So just to make it real clear.
Okay.
Say, for example,
because we're trying to defer our taxes here.
Yeah, we really are.
And just to remind everyone, this is investment only property. I said that at the very beginning. You're not going to live in this house. Your cousin's not going to live in this house. Can family members
Cousins
rent it?
can, though.
Cousins can,
Cousins
but
are
not
cool.
immediate family.
Well, not
my brother couldn't.
Your
and my
brother
parents
could.
couldn't.
Your brother
My
can.
brother can?
So
Okay.
it's parents and grandparents, you and your spouse, children
Okay.
and grandchildren, up and down the family tree. But
Oh, okay.
siblings and cousins and aunts and uncles are okay.
Oh, okay.
Are okay.
All right, cool.
So say, for example, your IRA owns this house and you get this $1,000 rent check. Well, you borrowed 60% and your IRA came up with 40%. And here comes a $1,000 rent check. Well, $400 of it your IRA earned because you saved, but $600 of that money your IRA earned because of borrowed money.
Gotcha.
So that
Okay.
$600, the money your IRA earned because of it earned because of borrowed money.
That's
Yes,
taxable.
correct.
Okay, and there's no way around that.
No, and well, there are some ways around it. Like a solo 401k isn't subject to that tax, and
Okay.
and-
So these types of loans might be for a short term, or
they could be.
because
They
you
could be
really-
30-year loans too.
Okay,
They could be.
okay.
So it's up to
But
so
you
you
are going to
pencil
be
it
paying
out.
taxes on the income earned.
Right, but you're going to your IRA is going to file a 990T. So in this case, you're going to take deductions. You're going to talk to your tax person and get
Okay.
information. So when you pencil it out, it could be the best thing you ever did.
Gotcha.
It doesn't need to scare you away. It could be a really good thing. But just know this up front before you get involved. And that's what we're here to talk to people about, like how to do
Very
this.
cool. Very cool. So my last question, we only have a couple minutes left, is can I use a self-directed IRA to raise capital for my project?
Oh my gosh, yes, that is like the best thing ever. Do you know that there's $27 trillion
I want some of
with
those.
a T,
Give me
I
some
know.
of those dollars.
in America in retirement money, and only like 3% of that amount is in alternative assets.
Wow.
So you go to someone, you say, hey, look, do you have an IRA or do you have a 401k with the company you used to work for? If they say yes, then you say, hey, do you know that you can take that money and invest in my project?
That's awesome.
And they'll be so surprised.
And there can be many different types of projects.
Right, yes, all different kinds.
Just in our last final few minutes, it's not just for real estate. When you say not collectible, so not for my fine art.
Correct.
But for coins and
Well, some coins, as long as they're
Okay.
U.S. minted coins with a certain fineness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what other things besides real estate?
Well, private placements, so private stock. You've heard of like crowdfunding, Reg C offerings
Okay.
or Reg B offerings.
Okay.
Or Reg A, Reg D offerings seem to be the most common. So SEC promulgated kind of
okay.
offerings where somebody is raising capital. That's private stock, really common. A note. My IRA can lend you money to go buy a car. You buy the car, you make your car payment to my IRA.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think people need to hear more about this.
Well, thank
and
you
they
for the
can- They
opportunity.
can call you. Tell us how we reach you.
We have a toll-free number.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Yay.
toll-free. Call toll-free. 866-538-3539. There we go. Okay, I got to do
There we
it.
go.
Operators standing by.
Operating standing by. Absolutely. And then for me, I just wanted to ask you my final question is what gets your creative juices flowing?
Oh man, oh gosh, it's opportunity. When I see the opportunity to put stuff together, like wait a minute, if we do this and this
I
and
can
this,
see
it's
you're
gonna
passionate about it.
very
It's
passionate
very,
about
very
it.
Cool.
It's fun.
Very cool. Well, thank you for coming in today.
Thank
It
you.
was great to see you.
Appreciate
and
it.
we'll chat again. It sounds like we have a lot more to talk about.
We do like real estate investing clubs and
Yeah,
things like that.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for showing up today. You can reach me at Rosanne Nitti at cox.net, or you can go to my website at nittygroup.com.
And let's spell all that.
Yeah, because it's two
Okay.
T's.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
And Roseanne's a little different. Isn't it?
Rosanne would be RosanneNennitti. Yes, I'm Italian, at cox.net. And my website is nittygroup.com.
Okay,
And that's
thanks for
it.
coming in today. Any final thoughts? Any last, you want to give us your little your little thought as you leave everybody here?
I do. I just say, whatever you do, save for retirement. Go write yourself a check and pay yourself instead of the IRS. Save, because we're all going to be older,
And when I say creative juices, this is a creative way for you to invest your money. And
Yeah.
that's what I love about it.
All right.
So thanks so much.
You've been listening to Keeping It Real Estate with a couple of real experts, Rosanne Nitti and friends, right here in Orange County's only community radio station, OCTalkRadio.net.